love. How are you? Do you have brain fog? I uncovered my severe brain fog that I had had probably 20 years now, and it just kept getting worse and worse. I couldn't even remember what I watched the day before. If you have brain fog and you want to get rid of it, it might be connected to mold, and you may have been born with chronic inflammation response syndrome. Learn more on YouTube at De-Stress with DSOS. And until you start our detox, use rosemary. Take a sniff, and it will help with your brain fog. Also, when you're trying to remember something and you're going into another room, keep repeating what you're going to go for. For example, I'm going into the kitchen to grab my phone. So keep saying that. I'm going to get my phone. I'm going to get my phone. Because when we go through doorways, our brains naturally just forget. Never mind the brain fog and the toxins that you're breathing in your toxic environment. You are not alone in your suffering, and together we will heal.
That anxiety you're feeling, that brain fog that won't lift, it might not be all in your head. It could be growing in your walls. Today, we're diving into the hidden connection between mold exposure and mental health, and why environmental illness might be the missing piece in understanding modern mental health challenges. And with me to explore this fascinating topic is our environmental medicine specialist. I'm really excited about what you're going to share with us today.
Thanks for having me. You know, what's really interesting is how this connection between mold and mental health has been overlooked for so long. Recent research has shown that people living in moldy environments are significantly more likely to experience depression and anxiety.
Wait, really? How does that work exactly?
Well, it's fascinating. When we're exposed to certain types of mold, they release compounds called mycotoxins that can actually interfere with our brain's neurotransmitters.
So these toxins are literally changing our brain chemistry?
Exactly. And this leads to something called chronic inflammatory response syndrome, or CIRAS, which affects multiple systems in the body.
Can you break down what CRS actually is?
CIRAS is a complex illness that occurs when people are exposed to biotoxins, primarily from water-damaged buildings. According to recent medical research, some people are genetically predisposed to having trouble eliminating these toxins from their bodies.
That's fascinating. You know, it reminds me of something interesting. The discovery of penicillin from mold actually revolutionized medicine.
Right, not all mold is harmful, but when it comes to the types commonly found in water-damaged buildings, that's where we see problems.
What kind of symptoms should people be looking out for?
The most common symptoms include brain fog, difficulty with word recall, memory problems, and even feelings of unreality or depersonalization.
Those sound like symptoms people might attribute to just being stressed or overworked.
Exactly, and that's part of why it's so often missed. People might spend years in therapy or on antidepressants when the real issue is environmental.
And I understand climate change is actually making this problem worse?
Yes, climate change is increasing humidity and extreme weather events, which leads to more water damage in buildings and more mold growth.
That's concerning. How do you actually diagnose something like this?
Well, that's where it gets tricky. CIRAS requires a comprehensive approach, including specific biomarker testing and genetic screening.
Is it hard to get doctors to take these symptoms seriously?
Unfortunately, yes. Many conventional doctors aren't trained to recognize environmental illness, which can leave patients struggling for years without proper diagnosis.
That must be incredibly frustrating for patients.
It is. And what's worse is that the longer exposure continues, the more severe the symptoms can become.
So what's the solution? How do you treat something like this?
The first and most crucial step is removing yourself from exposure. That means properly identifying and remediating any mold in your environment.
And I imagine that's not always simple or cheap.
No, it can be quite challenging. But there's a specific protocol developed for treating CRS that's showing promising results.
Can you tell us more about this protocol?
It's a 12-step process that includes things like bile acid sequestrants to help remove toxins and addressing inflammation and hormone imbalances.
That sounds pretty comprehensive.
It has to be. We're dealing with a complex condition that affects multiple systems in the body.
You mentioned earlier about modern building practices. How do they factor into this?
Modern buildings are built to be energy efficient, which often means they're tightly sealed. This can trap moisture and create perfect conditions for mold growth.
So our efforts to be more energy efficient might actually be making us sick?
In some cases, yes. It's a balance between energy efficiency and proper ventilation.
What about prevention? Are there things people can do to protect themselves?
Absolutely. Controlling humidity levels, fixing water leaks promptly, and ensuring proper ventilation are crucial steps.
And I imagine air quality testing might be important too?
Yes, but it's important to use the right kind of testing. Traditional air samples aren't always reliable. You need specific methods like qPCR testing.
What about treatment? Are there natural approaches that can help?
There are several natural mast cell stabilizers and detox support options that can be helpful, but they need to be part of a comprehensive treatment plan.
Can you give us an example?
Things like quercetin, which is a natural antihistamine, and supplements that support the body's detox pathways can be beneficial.
But I'm guessing you can't just take supplements and ignore the environmental issues.
Exactly. You have to address the root cause, the mold exposure, or you'll just be chasing symptoms.
What about the emotional toll of dealing with all this?
It can be incredibly isolating. Many patients feel gaslit by medical professionals who don't understand or recognize environmental illness.
That must make recovery even harder.
It does, but there's growing awareness and research in this field, which is encouraging.
What gives you hope for the future of treating these conditions?
The increasing recognition of the connection between environmental factors and mental health is really promising.
And more research is being done?
Yes, there's growing scientific interest in understanding these connections better.
What's the most important thing you want people to take away from this conversation?
If you're struggling with unexplained mental health symptoms, don't ignore potential environmental factors. Your environment matters more than you might think.
This really changes how we think about mental health treatment, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We need to look at the whole picture, not just what's happening in someone's mind, but also what's happening in their environment.
Well, this has been incredibly eye-opening. Any final thoughts?
Just remember, if something feels off with your mental health, don't automatically assume it's all in your head. Sometimes it might actually be in your walls.
Remember, your environment shapes your mind, sometimes more literally than you'd think.